Have you ever felt like you know that one person who doesn't want to work, doesn't want to make any effort, but expects everything to be handed to them? Yeah, in modern America, we call that entitlement. And that's what we're going to talk about today from Proverbs chapter 6. Hey guys, and welcome back to God's Word Made Simple by Simple Servant Ministries. If this is your first time visiting with us, I just want to say thank you and welcome. I want to introduce myself. I've already given you my name, Aaron Hawk. Actually, it's my name. You can't have it, but you can borrow it. That's bad even for me. My name is Aaron Hawk, and I just want to introduce myself and the ministry. So, I've been in ministry since 2001, and this ministry is designed, God's Word Made Simple, is designed to be an online discipleship ministry to help you in your walk with the Lord to become closer or to grow closer to Christ. And we do that primarily, we learn about God primarily through His Word, the Bible. So that is what this ministry seeks to do. So, guys, welcome again if this is your first time, and whether it's your first time or not, if you want to make sure to see other videos, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on that bell icon so that you don't miss any content that we put out. Okay, today we are continuing in chapter 6 of the book of Proverbs, and we're covering a very short section. Today's video should be fairly short, just verses 6 through 11. So 6 verses, and this is primarily about entitlement or laziness. Okay, so remember Solomon, King Solomon is teaching his son about life, and this is one of many lessons that he teaches his son. So he says, "Go to the ant, O sluggard, observe her ways and be wise." So literally ants. And I'm constantly amazed. I don't know if you guys did this, and PETA's going to call me after this, but I don't care, right? I don't know how many of you did this as a kid, but man, I used to love kicking over ant hills, and especially down here in the southern states, you have fire ants. And man, those things, if you ever get into those things or they get on you, they will really make you angry, like Yosemite Sam style, right? If you know who that is, you are awesome. But I used to love kicking over the ant pile. One, just because I was mean and I liked watching the ants scatter and try to figure out what's going on. And yeah, that's mean. But also, I was amazed at how the ants always rebuilt. I'd walk by a day or two later and you couldn't even tell that I had kicked over that spot because they had already rebuilt the anthill. And it's amazing to me how hardworking, and ants are a common thing that people use as an analogy for hard work. So with that in mind, this is Solomon observing this. He says, "Go to the ant, O sluggard, observe her ways and be wise." And by the way, I don't know if Solomon is calling his son a sluggard or if he's just generically calling out anyone who is a sluggard. And a sluggard is a lazy person. Okay, so go to the ant, O sluggard, observe her ways. It sounds like a parent, doesn't it? Go to the ant, you sluggard, you lazy bum, right? We can hear that. I don't know if Solomon's calling his son out specifically or if this is just a generic one, but I'll try and stop derailing on this, okay? By the way, if you ever hear me say the word derail in this ministry, I don't remember where I got this, but the idea is a train that's following tracks and then jumps the track. It gets derailed and everything just falls apart. My brain is kind of like that, except it's more like a squirrel in a circle or in a cage. It makes a circle, but it comes back. Anyway. Go to the ant, O sluggard, observe her ways and be wise, which having no chief, officer, or ruler. And remember, the queen is really only there to produce babies, right? The queen doesn't really direct much of anything, okay? So which, having no chief, officer, or ruler, prepares her food in the summer and gathers her provision in the harvest. How long will you lie down, O sluggard? When will you arise from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest. Your poverty will come in like a vagabond, and your need like an armed man. See, having been in business, I have a special awareness of the power of this passage. We live in a society that, for the most part, you can get away with being lazy if you want to. We live in an entitled society, and our generations have become entitled, meaning I have a right to a certain standard of living no matter what I do, and if you aren't willing to give that to me, someone else will. But that is unique in the course of history that people even have that option, and it is certainly not a biblical attitude to have. So Solomon's giving instruction here, and he's saying, look, if you're being lazy, you're not going to make it in this world. If you want to make it and be successful, you have to be driven. Okay, and in business, again, this takes on a whole nother level of meaning for me. Look at the ant and see how hardworking the ants are. Even though nobody is specifically directing them, not that we know of, right? They still get the job done. They still store up everything they need, and like clockwork, they always come back the next year. I don't care what you do to those fire ant hills in your yard, they're coming back. You knock one down, it's like whack-a-mole. They pop up over there. You knock that one down, another one comes up, right? You treat them, you do everything. How much money does the U.S. spend? In fact, that's a good trivia question. If you know the answer to that, how much money does the U.S. spend annually on fire ant control, specifically fire ant control? Put that down in the comments if you know that one. I'd be curious to see, one, who's paying attention, and two, I'd actually kind of like to know the answer, and I'm teaching right now. I can't Google it, so yeah. Not that I couldn't Google it later, but I want you to do that. Ha! Okay, speaking of being lazy, right? The ant has no one directing them, and yet we can't get rid of them if we try. And then he goes on, how long will you lie down, O sluggard? Does any parent feel like that with a teenager or a young adult child, right? When will you arise from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest. And this is the idea not just of somebody sleeping in, but this is the idea of someone who is making a habit of sleeping throughout life, right? This is somebody who, instead of being at work, they're just choosing to lounge around. And I know right now, pretty much everybody is being forced to be at home. For me, this hasn't been any easier. In fact, I've been busier since the corona. If you're watching this video later in history, this is during the coronavirus pandemic that I'm recording this. And for me, I've been busier than ever, but most people are stuck at home bored out of their minds. And it's not talking about that right now. But if that was your manner of life in general, it would be talking about that, right? So a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest. Your poverty will come in like a vagabond. In other words, you're going to be poor, but it's going to sneak up on you. And your need, so once you realize, oh shoot, I need some things, like food and shelter, right? And your need like an armed man. So it's going to sneak up on you, but then when you realize it, it's going to be too late to do anything about it. So the encouragement, the exhortation here, the teaching is be diligent in your work and be wise in your financial dealings so that you are not constantly in need and being surprised by every little thing. Ever follow the ministry of Dave Ramsey? Right? There's plenty of other good financial guys out there. In fact, I came up in the days where Larry Burkett was the man that you listened to, and his ministry continues on, his legacy continues, but Dave Ramsey has gained popularity in America in recent history, right? And it's a good program. Follow it. You'll be better off than if you don't, okay? That's what he's warning about. He's saying, be wise in your financial dealings. And man, I can tell you from business, if you miss a beat sometimes, you pay for that for a long time. And if you know anybody that is in small business especially, I mean, big business has its own stresses, but small business is one of the most stressful things that you can be in. If you know somebody that owns and operates a small business, look out for those people, shop and take care of those people because they are under a stress level that you can't imagine, and they literally can't miss a beat. And that is what's so scary, speaking of the coronavirus pandemic, that's what's so scary for a lot of small business owners right now is they typically live paycheck to paycheck. Their business, not them personally, they're usually reinvesting every dime they have into their business. But their business usually lives paycheck to paycheck, just like most Americans. Any little thing that you miss in business adds up to a lot more money later on. So guys, take care to be wise in your financial dealings and work diligently. In business, and I've heard it in real estate, but in any sales-oriented business, hustle until you don't have to, right? That means work so hard and hustle so much that eventually all that hustling pays off and hustles for you. right? If you're not in business, I'm not going to bother explaining that quote. If you are, you've probably heard it before, and I don't need to explain it. So guys, that's it for the video today. Thank you very much for joining me again. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Like over there, subscribe, or depending on which platform, but typically like is over there, subscribe, and the bell notification over here. Make sure you don't miss the other videos. We're going to be continuing in Proverbs chapter 6 next week. Thank you guys very much, and God bless.